Hey painting pals, welcome back to Mandy's Minis. And you saw the thumb. Today we're going to do my dark brown hair tutorial. We're going to get started with this bust. And as I'm going through, I kind of realized it has been a hot minute since I've done any tutorials on hair. If you want to see more of them, there is actually a whole playlist. So I'm going to link that at the back. Everything from blonde, which is definitely the most popular, through reds and blacks and other colors. So I'm not done. I'll do the whole rainbow. Why not? Today we're going to go forward with dark hair. And I've got this Elven Beauty here that I'm painting up. A nice bust. She is base coated. So that is just my shadow color. Grim Brown by AK. So it is very much a blackish brown. And then we're going into our next color, which is our mid-tone. And yes, you'll be surprised. No 50-50 mix on this one. We are going straight to brown leather, and that's a scale color. We're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to start doing her mid-tone here. You'll see a big difference in her look as I get such a lighter color going down. Now, I'm not using my detail brush yet. I'll do that when I get to the highlights, but I do want to use a brush with a nicer tip so that I can leave some of the shadow color showing and hopefully don't have to go through and re-establish them at the end. That is my hope. It works for me probably 50-50. So some of the time it works, other times not so much. Nice thing about this particular bust, typically I find this common with White Werewolf Tavern, which is where she came from. They do a great job of sculpting the hair so that it can pick up those raised areas and leave those other strands of dark in between. So it tends to work very well for me. That's why you'll see a lot of White Werewolf Tavern busts in my tutorial playlist. There's that, and there's the fact that I just really like their busts. So this is not sponsored by them. I do not paint for them. They're literally just one of the companies that Ben and I are patrons of. So we get their monthly subscriptions, and it's for this reason, because I do enjoy painting them so much. I like the characters. They're very D&D based and kind of prep for D&D, but they're also very much different personalities, and they all have this great different look to them. So I know some sculptors tend to, all their pretty busts tend to have like a very similar face or something like that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I like a lot of variety. They're very good at that with White Werewolf Tavern. And everything from pretty busts to the ugly, scary busts that I like, your ghosts and undead and all of that. A lot of sculptors out there are really good, so I don't want to knock any of them just because I happen to like this one. I'm going to go through and get all of this hair basically done up with the next layer. See how it's starting already? And you can actually see how that's softening her face. The right side of her face is a lot different than the shadowed side where I haven't actually hit with the brown. So it's going to give it a real nice look overall. Wow, I am taking all this time on camera to go ahead and get the mid-tone done with you actually watching me. I'm going to take this opportunity to say something that I usually save for the end, and that is thank you. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being here with me today. I absolutely love making these videos for you and interacting with you. In fact, we just finished a live stream earlier today, and I decided to keep that energy going with getting this tutorial recorded. So I will say I am very disappointed in myself though, because as I was base coating the hair, I actually got it all over her skin on her shoulders, and her skin had been so perfect. I had airbrushed it to perfection, and some of you are probably looking going, yeah, you're crazy. It looks great. It looks perfect now. but it was actually way, way better. So I'm very upset about that, but it's okay. I fixed it. She's still pretty good. I may go back and do some more glazing with the airbrush to make that a little bit better. That is a skill that I'm actually practicing myself, but I will tell you, I am a big fan of constantly trying to improve. No matter how good you are, you can always try and improve, right? And that's the best way to make sure you don't rest on your laurels or get frustrated feeling like you're always stuck in the same spot. If you're always trying to improve, eventually you'll get it and then you'll be better. And that's kind of how my whole painting journey has been. And when I first started, I thought it was going to take me so many more years to get to where I am. I honestly thought I would just be starting to learn. I'm in my 5th year actually painting from when I first started. I think that number might be a little off. Maybe it's 6 years. No, it has to be the 5th year. I started in 2020. Not due to COVID. I was actually deemed essential, so I worked throughout all of COVID. But coincidentally, some other people had more time, and that actually gave me the education I needed to be able to do this. So I started in 2020. It's 2025. So therefore, 5 years. But I've been so focused on trying to improve and get better because I was just wowed by everyone else's work when I got started on it. And I enjoyed it so much. The second go around, first time I tried to start on my own, I hated it and swore about anyone who liked this and how stupid they are. So I guess now I'm stupid by my own admission, but no, that was just frustration talking. And we all get that way. When you get frustrated, you just lash out, and it's not great, but it is something we do. But the important thing is, if you do enjoy it, if you love it, keep at it, you will get there. That's the point I'm trying to make. And now, like I said, I really couldn't imagine. I thought it would take me at least 5 years to learn OSL to be able to get up to that level. And now OSL is like super easy for me, and I actually have a couple tutorials on it that are out already. A lot of this stuff isn't that bad as long as you keep trying and keep focusing on learning, then you'll eventually get there. So that's the important part, and you can do it too. That's the best part about this, is you can do it if you want to, if you try, if you put in that work and that effort. And if you find it fun, hopefully you want to put in that work and effort. And I love that I get to be a part of that journey for you. So that is what I want to focus on today as I'm painting up my hair tutorial. So as you can see, what I'm doing, going around, leaving some of the dark bits behind. I'm mostly kind of hitting up some of the raised parts. It's not actually a dry brush, but I would say a little more similar to a dry brush in the fact that, not a whole lot of paint, not a whole lot of water in my brush, so that I can mostly focus on those raised bits, but it's not actually a full, you can see that there's water on my brush. It's not a full-on dry brush or anything. And if you're doing a 28 millimeter, it's going to be a lot smaller than that. So you're definitely not going to need a whole lot as far as water and paint. But since she is this large bust, I'm going to continue on. I think you've got the general gist of this and don't need to continue hearing me ramble. You want me to get to the tutorial part, and especially the recipe. I know. I'm gonna put you on pause while I go ahead and finish up this base coat, and then I will be back and show you the next steps as we get into the highlights. As always with layering, they're gonna get smaller and smaller areas, and so it'll go a lot faster. But this one being definitely a long part, I'm gonna skip over that, but I promise nothing you haven't already seen me do on, what's that, a third of her hair. Okay, did you miss me? I missed you. Her hair is now officially brown. So we've got the mid-tone and we've got the shadow. So we're going pretty nice there. I'm gonna jump right to the highlights, and the only 50-50 mix in this entire recipe. So that's gonna be the brown leather scale color with Arabic shadow, also scale color. So 50-50 mix of that is going to be my first highlight. Let me go ahead and get my brush loaded here, and we'll show you what that looks like. It is basically going to be a big jump. And the reason is we want to get our highlights nice and bright, but we still want to keep enough that the model reads the overall hair color as dark brown. I like to call this a more caramel kind of color. If you like caramel, I do, especially chocolate and caramel. One of my favorites, not to play into that female stereotype. And I am going in my normal places, which is going to be around the crown of the head and then into these bends in the hair. And remember, hair tends to highlight in line. So for example, you can see me moving up on the different parts of the hair in this same line. And then when I do the next section, let's say this fold over here, so we're going to do that all the way up as well. So it's all going in a line. It's not going to be like highlighted here and then down here and all different areas. It's going to kind of fall in lines. So that's what I'm going to do. So this would be that first line here. And I also want to keep this because I'm doing a full 3 colors for the highlight. So I'm kind of trying to keep this large enough that we're going to get those other 2 colors into it as well. On this fold, or I should say curl, and I'm going to keep going along that way. Now this is another one that's going to take me a little bit of time because this is so big. If this was a 28 millimeter figure, I would definitely be done by now over the whole head. But with doing a bust, it's a bit bigger. So let me go ahead and do that a little bit off camera. Let me go ahead and continue on with that, and I will come back and show you where all the highlights were placed, and the next steps should go even faster. Okay, I am back. As you can see, I did the highlights here up front and on this curve here. And then she doesn't really have the crown because around her head because the headband is pulling all the hair back. So we've got a line here, a line on this fold, and then on this fold, these folds here, and then at the edge. So now we're going to do our second highlight color, and that's just going to be the straight up Arabic shadow. So we're going to go ahead and get that down. And now we're getting into the more blonde colors. And that's because, you know, hair goes through the range. So we're going to get this down. And as you can see, I'm now using my nice sharp detail brush to get those fine edges. So we can see those in there. And I'm staying within the area I already put down. You know, if I put an area down this wide, I want to stay right in the middle of that for the highlights to keep going. So we're not extending it out to the end or anything like that or past it. We're staying within that middle area. And as you can see, this is going to go much faster because it is a much smaller area. And then we have one highlight after that. And then, well, she'll be done with you guys. I still have to finish up some of the metallic here for her earrings and charms and touch up the base. So I'll still have more to do. But I will send you over to Final Pictures where I have all that stuff nicely done already. If your brush, the paint is not coming off of it nicely, that means you need to add more water to it so that it flows a little bit better. And see how nicely that flow comes out now that it has more water. So that's what we're looking for here. You can see I'm doing more of like an edge highlight I'm not really painting it all the way in or worrying about every little kind of touch. Just getting that little bit there within the highlight area that's already been established so that it creates a nice shine in her hair. So there's that one. Then we're going to come over here and I'm going to do this one right in here. And again, I'm just staying right in the middle of that. I'm doing a smaller amount than I did with the last one. So that way we layer it up. And you can already see that shine starting to come in. Now, I'm not going to hit every single strand here because we want that variety. And again, we don't want this to read as blonde. We want this to read as a highlight in her hair. So we're not going to go full on, oh my gosh, she's blonde now. And now we can see her hair starting to look all nice and shiny and healthy and pretty. If you wanted a less pretty look, a less shiny look to your hair, you would do less highlights or maybe not even put in highlights. If you're looking for greasy hair, I'm going to say I can't really help you on that. I really haven't looked into how to do that, so maybe I will figure that out and then let you know. The light is coming from this way, so it's going to hit these edges a little bit more, but these covered up ones I don't really want to touch. When you're miniature painting, it is important to always be focused on where your light source is coming from. It plays a big part in how to paint your miniature, and one of these days I will probably do a video on how to paint them, where to put your highlights and shadows within a model. Honestly, there's a lot of them out there already, and they're kind of boring. Again, if I find a way to make boring topics a little bit more fun, I will let you know. But there she is, and I feel like now we're still reading she has dark hair. There's enough of it that we're just seeing highlights versus the dark hair. So on to the next color, Decomposed Flesh. This is my highest highlight. No, I am not doing a 50-50 mix. It is just decomposed highlight, and this is just going to be my brightest area. So once again, I'm not going to hit all of the places I have highlighted, but the places where we're going to get the most shine. Once again, I'm staying within the last area I did, so I don't want to go wider than that area, and that really gives us our shine. That's what we're really looking for, and we just want to get a little bit of that. Not too much, because again, we don't want her to look like she's got white hair or blonde hair or weird streaks in it. We're just trying to emphasize that shine in her nice healthy hair. I actually kind of wish it was easy enough to get this kind of look in real life. Just paint it on and be done. But that's not the way reality works. Also note that I'm not hitting every single thing. This one had the last step of highlight on it because it's not going to hit every single strand with this highest highlight. So we want to make sure we're just getting those main areas. And we'll be done with this very quickly here, because key with your highest highlight is to keep it very, very light. Very light touches. I've been hitting it kind of hard, and that's why I'm getting so much smearing. But that's because I was hitting it a little too hard. You can see when I kind of just lightly brush it, I end up with a much better result. I think that's about it for those particular highlights. All right, so let me show you how I'm gonna fix those other ones that got a little bit much. I'm gonna come down for this one here. I'm actually coming down 2 shades. So this is not their Arabic shadow. This is the Arabic shadow mixed with the brown leather. And I'm just going to try and reestablish a line between those two to kind of break it up a little bit. So that's probably a little bit hard, but that's okay. And then all these other places, I'm going to come down 1 color, which means this is just Arabic shadow. And I'm just going to extend this out a little bit to kind of blend those edges. So so that now those edges are blending in very nicely and they don't look so jarring. So this is a step if I had not making so many oops I wouldn't have to do, but since I did, it's nice to be able to show you that you don't have to worry about getting it perfect, because chances are you're not, especially as you're learning. You know, you got to plan to get it wrong because it's going to happen. So don't get upset when it does. All right, and now we've kind of blended that in a little bit better, and you can see how nice that is. This one I'm going to totally glaze over, tone it down quite a bit because it is right behind her ear, and it really shouldn't have gone that high. So that's it. And now she's got nice dark brown hair with great highlights that look fairly natural. I'm going to continue to play with her, finish up her last little bits, touch up the base. But lucky you, you get to go ahead and see her in all her finished glory. Here she is. I think she came out beautiful. I'm very happy with her. I hope you like her. And again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you watching and getting to make these videos for you. A special thank you to our patrons. I really appreciate all you do for me, and I love our community and just continuing to interact with all of you and be part of your hobby journey. That's going to be it for me for today. So thank you so much again for watching another one. And until next time, have fun and keep creating.